Hi, my name is Ivy Starnes, and I'm a gaited horse trainer in Fort Worth, Texas. Today we're talking about how to get your horse calm on the trail. This is part 4. Please go back and watch parts 1 through 3 before you watch this. Also be aware this is probably going to be a long video. I want to talk about ways that we can calm a horse down on the trail or de-escalate. Now, as we talked about before, some of this starts at home. Some of the things I'm going to show you are things you can do at home as well as on the trail. But I want to give you specific do's and don'ts of things that you can do to help your horse de-escalate or calm down on the trail. One of the things I'm going to be talking about is using food. You do not have to do this, but I'm going to recommend it because it's one of the greatest ways to get the horse chewing and kind of to unfreeze a horse and get them to start regulating. But it's something you want to practice at home first to be the most effective you can. So just mentioning those are going to be some things. First, I want to talk about this idea that we don't want the horse to get scared, because there's a lot of different philosophies. And as I was thinking about this last night, it came to me. So some of you, if you're watching this live, you'll know Road to the Horse was this past weekend, and quite a few people go to that. It's very popular, and I've never really liked it or been a fan, but that's okay. Like, if you like it, that's all right. But someone who I very much respect, who is one of the kindest people in the horse industry that I know, had some very scathing things to say about Road to the Horse. And that post was taken down before I could screenshot it, so I can't read it to you. I only have a partial post that this person shared, and I'm going to share you just a little bit of it, and we're going to talk briefly about it and then move on to do's and don'ts on the trail. So the person, I was actually shocked to see this person posting it. The person who posted it was John Lyons. John Lyons is one of the kindest horse people I have ever met. He doesn't have anything bad to say about anybody that I've heard. And so when he shared this post, basically criticizing the way many of the trainers that were participating in the competition aspect treated the horses. He said, and you can see it in his post, his current post that is still live, that Road to the Horse has become a highway to the hospital, because the competition aspect is encouraging people to get on the horse, whether it's bucking or not, ride it out, get bucked off, get back on, and the horse at that point isn't really learning anything except that some people will stick on longer than others. He was promoting and everything I've seen about Brandy Lyons and her demo was that her horse never bucked, was always calm and laid back. And she worked that. And that should be our goal as trainers, is to keep it calm, where I believe all the other horses with the trainers in the competition were bucking. So one of the sentences he says, John Lyons says, Road to the Horse has missed its purpose, which is to teach and promote good, safe methods of training for people and horses. Road to the Horse has become a highway to the hospital. And in his first post, which got taken down, he had much more to say about it, but he was really promoting methods that are safe for the horse and the handler, which is methods of calmness and keeping your horse calm. So the techniques that I'm going to be sharing with you today are ways to keep your horse under threshold or calm, or to calm them down from being above threshold rather than getting them worked up. So any trainer that goes to you and says, you're going to use this to get your horse to listen, first think about, does it help my horse stay calm? Is its intention to get the horse calm, or is its intention to have the horse go faster and stay hyped up until they get tired? Again, one thing with horses is with gaited horses, it's very difficult to get them to give up or run out of energy. That's why people love them as trail horses, is because they don't run out of energy. Quarter horses, as a general rule, tend to give up easier. Sure, there are gaited horses that you can do circles with and they will be fine. But let's say you do want to get the horse to relax on the trail. What are some things? Let's go into do's and don'ts. I have some videos, but not on the trail. So let's go through the do's of de-escalating or calming your horse down on the trail. We will revisit these, but let's go through them. Breathe. Breathe. that can help your horse settle down. And many riders have told me that they get nervous when their horse gets nervous. So one of the easiest things is to breathe. Now, what if you can't focus on your breathing? What's the next best thing? Actually, the next best thing is to talk. Talk out loud, talk to your horse, talk to your friend who's riding with you, sing a song, laugh, or cough. Yes, because if you cough, even if it's a fake cough, you're inhaling and exhaling. So if you can't make yourself breathe, try coughing. Weird as that sounds, those things do work. So breathe, talk, sing, laugh, cough. Do those as quickly as possible. Another thing you can do, which you're going to know your horse in your situation, is to get off. Get off and get between your horse and the scary thing. Along with that, if that's get off if you're riding, if you're on the ground, so either while riding or dismounted, the other thing you can do is get distance between you and the scary thing. So if they're really scared of a stump, get distance. Now, I forgot to say this at the beginning, I'll say it now. Some of you have horses that are gonna spook at something, they're gonna jump a little, and then they're gonna walk right past and be calm. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when your horse gets amped up about something, whether you know what it is or not. These are things you can do to help get them calmed down. Part of this is I'm going to say, if you need to go back to the arena, go back to the trailhead, go back to your trailer, that might be the right option. Redirect. Redirect is going to basically be let your horse go over here and eat. Go to a different spot. Focus on something other than the scary thing. Offer food. This is going to go along with the clicker training, but also you can just offer food without doing any clicker training, especially if it's something you've reinforced at home. The horse is going to be like, oh, food. This must be a testing situation and I'm totally fine. Do something easy. If you're on the ground, ask your horse to back up, to drop their head, to smile, to do a trick, something that they love to do and it's very easy for them. Do not force the horse to stand still. Allow the horse to move in a controlled manner. Maybe you let them walk and circle, not with the goal of wearing them out, but the goal of letting them move their feet. When horses are nervous, they often won't stand still. Forcing them to stand still is asking for trouble. You're asking for the horse to rear up. Don't make them stand if they're nervous. Now, if you are in a situation where you cannot move, then do whatever you can, get off, give them treats, do whatever you can without moving. But many times you're in a situation where you have a little bit of room and you can move. So the other thing is target or do something they love. So you're gonna see a case where I work with the macaroni and I'm first cinching up, it's a bareback pad, but basically like a saddle, and she gets very worried and tense. And what I do is I redirect by offering her the target, which she immediately touches and she immediately starts eating and relaxing. You can also do head down training. I mentioned previously that I had a horse that I was training, he was pacey, and I did head down for the whole 2-hour ride, and by the end he was gaiting. This is very normal, is that head down will help a horse to de-escalate. Okay, so those are the do's, and I'll post that in the description. Not to do. So let's just say you're on the ground with your horse and your horse gets nervous. Here's what not to do. Do not hold the lead rope right by the snap or the knot and hold them tight. Give them some slack. Stop holding them so tightly. Take a breath, give them a loose rein, let them move their feet. Again, when it's safe to do so. Do not hold constant pressure on the reins. You must be releasing, even if you have to have your reins a little bit shorter so you can control their movement. Do not jerk on the horse, either with the reins or the lead rope. Remember we talked about that we want to de-escalate? Do you think jerking on the reins is going to make your horse calmer, or jerking on the lead rope is going to make your horse calmer? Seriously? Do you guys think that jerking on their face is going to calm a horse down? Show of hands. I hope nobody raised their hands, because I've never seen a person jerk on the lead rope or the reins and have the horse go, oh right, calm down. They throw their head up, which is the exact opposite of what we want. And then don't circle them. Don't make them do tight circles to work and move their feet to get calmness. You can circle to let them work off some of the energy. No, I'm saying this wrong. You may let them move their feet because they won't stand still. Do not force them to move around to get them to calm and relax. With gaited horses, this rarely ever works. Michelle says, is it bad for the teeth to feed treats while using the Rock and S snaffle? I've never had an issue, Michelle, with it. I feed treats all the time with bits, a whole bunch of different kinds of bits. Linda says sing or hum. Yes, absolutely. Humming is good too. It makes you breathe. Singing or humming. All right, let's move on. I have this video of Macaroni. What it is, so Macaroni is a horse that I worked with for the Appalachian Trainer Face-Off. She has now been adopted by a wonderful family because I couldn't keep her. I would love to keep her. But, and so I've done target training with her, but I need to be able to put a saddle on there. So I put the bareback pad on and you can immediately see her eyes start getting worried, that wrinkle that we talked about. And what I did is before I tightened it fully, I offered her the target to touch. And when she touched it, I clicked and rewarded. And this immediately got her out of the worried phase. And you're going to see this on I think the first time I tried it, and then also a couple days later when I do it again. And you see in the second video that she freezes. She kind of gets very stiff, and if I were to ask her to walk off, she might have bucked. But my entire goal is to not get the horses to buck and not get them to be afraid. So rather than ask her to walk off, I asked her to touch the target and then move by reaching for the target rather than just by moving her feet. So here's this video. So she is cinchy, so I'm gonna work at really lots of positive reinforcement when she feels the cinch. Good girl. Can you touch it? I have. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just using this because I can, because it just looks a little better than the rope thing, but yeah. You want me to put it on this way? Okay. Good girl. What was that? Good job. Well done. Good. You weren't paying attention, were you? Good girl. Nice. What? Oh, I'll look on this side. Yeah, so you look over there. Yeah, good girl. It's over here. Good girl. Sneaky horse. Good girl. Good girl. You can reach around and touch it. So we want to keep her very much engaged with this part. Good. Good. So that she associates feeling the pressure of the cinch with something good, like touching the ball. Good. Here you go. Good. Good. Oh, wait, don't step on it. Good girl. Good. Because when I tightened this, I think it was yesterday, she kind of froze. And they said, the lady that was working with her had a saddle on her and said she was always cinchy. Oh, you feel that? Good girl, touch the ball. And I want to encourage her that movement and looking at other things and not just thinking about that is a good thing. Good. What?
How do you decide when to fade the target and just do the cinch?
Whenever she's okay with the cinch. I mean, pretty much, it's her speed. All of this has been her speed.
Right. For like the ball, you didn't usually use the target, you just touch the ball.
I used the target more yesterday. If you'd seen yesterday, or the last time I used the ball, I used the target. It depends. You can train anything you want. Good, anytime you want. Yeah, if it helps, then use the target. We've seen she loves the ball. You've all seen how much she's like, I want to touch that ball. All right, so briefly, I just paused it there, and I do want to address a couple of questions. Let me, so macaroni, so someone asked, okay, let's see. Someone asked if I have how to set the horse up with a target. I will share the link. I already did a video on that, so I will share that link in the description. Chrissy said, replying to my comment about jerking on a horse if it calms him down, Chrissy says, and she's being silly, that her favorite is when someone punches a horse in the face when it wouldn't stand still. Yeah, okay, we all know that. So Patty says, great information. Once on a very technical trail, we encountered 3 hikers on a switchback. The hikers had huge packs. It looked like they were carrying twin-sized mattresses on their backs. Fava balked at passing, but did eventually. Luna was having none of it, and I finally did get off and lead her past. I almost never dismount, but different challenges require different techniques. Excellent point to say that there may be times when getting off is the right answer, and there may be times when staying on is the right answer. I totally agree with that. Chrissy asked if she asked the hikers to talk to the horses. Patty says they did talk. On this trail was on the side of the mountain. Neither horses were afraid of hikers, but the packs were enormous, and the hikers had to climb up on a rock so we could pass. So very tight conditions. And you may have to deal with that, and you may have to get off and lead it past. That is not the end of the world. Anyway, so there you go. Also, with macaroni here, yes, it's not on the trail, but I want to show you how we took a horse that was, not sure about something and made it a really positive experience, pairing this with something else, like in this case, touching the target. So on the trail, if your horse loves the target, when you encounter something that's scary to the horse, you present the target, you're going to find your horse comes right down out of that high energy mode, that fight or flight mode, and they're right with you. So I'll go back to macaroni. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because you get the idea, but I really want to show you day 2.
And get some
You can see I get her
movement
walking
right away.
around and with it tight, but I don't immediately
Well done.
I don't immediately tighten it up and make her carry it so that she bucks. It's still loose. I still want her engaged. She's totally loose and she's at liberty. Okay, so I think this is just showing that she can walk over. I think we're really close to the next day. Okay, so this is a couple days later, and this is where you can really see her freeze. Letting her check it out. See, she's much calmer with it being put on. Still no halter on her. Just making sure it's hanging straight. There you go, good girl. Watching these 2 videos, I noticed her head is a little bit lower here than it was the other time I did this. But you can start to watch her eye, watch the worriedness come in. And then see her start to relax and put that head back down and be engaged with the process. So I'm asking her to take steps with me rather than just stand still, because I definitely don't want her to freeze, but I also don't want her to start bucking. I want the whole process to be good. I think it means that she's not busy enough and she needs more work. That's right, you're gonna walk forward. Notice that her head's now lower. She doesn't look quite as worried. And she's constantly chewing, which is good. Because one of the fear signs is the horse will stop eating or stop chewing. Okay, so, and briefly they're talking about, if you have hikers on the trail, you should talk to them, which I do cover in my trail etiquette video, so we're not going to go into that. So, yes, using the target or something that they're familiar with. If your horse loves to smile or nod their head yes, or do something that's really, really reinforcing for them that you've practiced at home, you can do this on the trail. And again, one of the big things that you can do to help your horse may be to dismount, maybe to actually get down. I want to read another example from the group Empowered Equestrians. She says, there can be situations where the horse could go suddenly over threshold. They are few and far between, but it can happen on the trail. I had one where a galloping llama, and if their spelling's right, it's an actual llama, unexpectedly jumped out of the bushes right behind us. That would scare me. He was almost on top of us. My pony was surprised and terrified. He leapt up, kicked out backwards in a perfect high school capriole. The llama jumped back. I jumped off right away. My pony stayed glued to me the entire time. He literally couldn't get close enough to me. Now, pause. How many of us have been told not to let our horses crowd us, that it's always a bad thing? I'm here to tell you it's not always a bad thing. Yes, we should have some space and stay safe, but in this case, her horse was begging her to keep her safe, begging the rider to keep him safe. He literally couldn't get close enough to me. At first, he wouldn't take food, but I just kept talking calmly, and eventually he accepted the food and started to relax a little. Here she says alpaca proceeded to follow us home, so it was either a llama or alpaca. Which, of course, the pony was very worried about the alpaca following them. But he just stayed as close to me as possible. She is still dismounted, I believe. And then she continues, I think when we pair ourselves with positive reinforcement enough, we become a safe place where good things happen for our horses. It's almost like how they will run to their stall in a burning barn. They will run to us when their world is scary, which is a good thing. So it isn't as bad when they go over threshold as it is when you only use negative reinforcement, because we are their barn, home, and their friends. We now become their safe place, not just the barn and their buddies. We aren't part of the scary situation. We are the only safe thing in the scary situation. And she says, anyways, that's just my experience. This another person was replying to Courtney. Rita says, yes, so true. You explain it perfectly. I had only been practicing positive reinforcement a few months when someone at the arena with her horse. Practicing a few months when someone went in the arena with her horse. I was boarding at the time. My horse's paddock was next to the arena. She started cracking a whip, making her horse race around in circles. My horse was terrified and started running away from the fence. So her horse is in the paddock, the other horse is in the arena with the other person. Her horse came straight to me and stayed next to me following as I cleaned the paddock. So that's another case where the horse went to her and was calmer for having a buddy to go to. So be aware of that. Chrissy says, not fear, but at our pulse checks in NATRAC, I use the target, clicker, and food to get her to calm down and relax so she recovers more quickly. She has anxiety sometimes at rides and just wants to keep going. Yeah, Callie, Chrissy's horse, is very well trained and knows it's good on trails, will stop and stand, but when she goes to rides, she's more up. She has more energy. And so Chrissy has used the target and food and the clicker to bring her horse to relax faster so that they can go through the vet checks faster and recover faster. And this is really good. Think about all the situations when your horse gets excited. If you could calm them down quickly, why wouldn't you do that? And when I say excited, I mean stressed, nervous, fearful, excited. Now, one thing we haven't talked too much about is that one thing that's important is when your horse starts to get nervous, you need to intervene before they get over threshold. So in the previous two videos, we talked about how to watch for that, when they go over threshold and trigger stacking. Part of that is making sure your horse has everything they need at home. They have their food needs met, nutritional needs, and their need for herd and safety, sleep, water. All of those things need to be met, because if you don't, when you start riding, If those needs aren't met, that already starts out with a trigger. Same thing if you have a bad fitting saddle or bit. Those things as well can add to that trigger, making your horse more likely to react. Now, some horses are amazing and they don't react and they keep you very safe. And sometimes things do happen out of the blue. And these are ways to de-escalate quickly. But if you're on the trail and you're riding with horses and your horse is getting nervous, you have a decision to make. It is your job as the rider to work with your horse and to literally be a partner with it. This means if your horse is getting nervous, it is your job to take the steps to get your horse calmer, not nervous, to de-escalate. There are links in the description to articles as well. And I do want to mention this one article by Anna Blake, and the article is titled The Art of De-Escalating. She says, I'm going to read some of it because I think it's important. It's an ordinary day, quiet, no wind. You could be on a trail or in the arena. You might be thinking about work or what to make for dinner or how much you love your horse. Something changes, but you don't notice. Then that something changes some more. Maybe the horse's stride gets shorter. Maybe he loses that nice tail swing. Now his poll is tense and his eyes are wide. You're starting to notice by now. Without asking, your body takes over. Legs clamp down, hands pull on the reins and the bit tight to your belly. Metal on bone in his mouth. You're more worried about what he might do than what he is doing. And you're more worried about having a good time or what's going on or your other horses rather than paying attention to your horse when they start to get worried. That was me adding that part in. You're as tense as your horse. It doesn't matter what he saw, you're both clenched. Breathing? Forget it. Or you're training something. You're not confused about how to ask. You're actually confident. You know how to train it. It isn't your horse's first time doing it. He knows what you want, but he's resisting. So you ask again. Your cue is a little louder this time as you are enunciating it. He's still resisting. So now you spell it out. Bluntly, with heavy cues, your jaw set, his jaw set. You might notice the start of frustration, but you're too distracted by his resistance, so you don't notice. You apply more pressure. Horses are supposed to give to pressure, right? His poll is high and tight. His flanks feel like boards. Kick him some more. He's disrespecting you. Harder. Feel your heels hit and he bolts. Breathing? Forget it. And the title of her next paragraph is, the only cue you want to give is a loud resounding no, but that isn't even a cue, is it? You're having a runaway, no doubt about it. Sure, you can blame it on the horse, but can we talk about the runaway that you had all your own? The first case might be debatable. You can say he started it, but it's a small consolation. You joined in with enthusiasm of a sort. It's still your job to bring it to a safe end. In the second case, it is totally on you. Most of us were taught to escalate our cues, that with each ask we raise the volume, with the idea being that the horse will choose the smaller cue next time. It's an old idea of respect, that your horse will obey you if they respect that you mean what you say. It's what we were all taught, and it isn't totally wrong. It's just that horses can't learn when they are afraid. Some horses will blow up and some shut down, but no learning. They have an automatic nervous system, and when flight response kicks in, that's all, or they're dead. We have the same type of nervous system. We don't run as fast. It's our default to fight. If this isn't bad enough, horses have the fastest response time of any common domestic animal. But you're in a full-blown fight, he's in full-blown flight. So this information isn't exactly helpful now. Science says his response time is 7 times quicker than ours. How are we supposed to be the leader when we start this far behind? This is a great article. The link is in the description. Please read the whole thing. Okay, no more comments. We're just going to read a little bit more, and then I have another video to show. Escalating cues equals escalating anxiety for both of you. Do-over. There are things visible in hindsight that might not have been as clear before the runaway. You are not in control of the horse. There is no bomb-proof. There is no scenario where a horse stops being a prey animal. Humans, on the other hand, can change their behavior, and if we respond differently, there's a chance horses will be more confident when something does happen. The thing before the thing. I like that, a thing before the thing. The first thing that happens for both horse and rider is breathing stops. Our nervous system does that all on its own. Notice your tight ribs, his tense flanks. Once adrenaline kicks in, it's hard to fight instinct. Okay, and then she goes on another couple paragraphs talking about less correction, more direction, and de-escalating. So you can read that article. But I really like she talks about there's this thing before the thing. The thing that happens that the horse is telling us they're nervous. Now, it might start when you get on at the trailer. It might actually start before you get on. It might start with the fact that your horse won't stand still at the mounting block, but you get on anyway. What is that horse telling you? He's telling you he's not relaxed and comfortable, but you say you're going to do it anyway. And I ask you, there are times when you know your horse and you know you'll be fine, and that's great. But what about those times when you've ignored it and something happened? Was it the horse's fault, or was it your fault for ignoring him and not being a good partner? I really want to show you this video. This is a horse, and again, it has to deal with food. This is a horse that was fairly green. He's not young, but he's green, and he was whinnying and not standing still at the beginning of the session. And then I started feeding food, and his entire attitude changed. This is why I am going to promote feeding food on the trail or during training when your horse gets nervous and not making it a fight.
Relaxation is super important. So she's had him a while, but he's really, you said only been riding him for like...
Sorry, need to change this here. There we go.
A year or just since April. Okay. Okay. So he really hasn't, he's basically, like, it doesn't matter that he's 20, or how old did you say he is? 20. You still have to treat him like a green horse because that hasn't had a ton of riding. We want him to be relaxed, but we also have to know, like, he's a horse that doesn't know as much as other horses. Good boy.
And that
I know.
We need a lot during the beginning of the session.
Good job. Good. So I'm going to give him, as long as he's like listening, I'll give him a lot of
I'm going to skip ahead,
so that
but I want you to know that this behavior of not standing and whinnying continues. You can watch more of this video on my private training group.
Good job. Walking is to work on relaxation. Good job. And you can tell he's a little bit nervous because he probably doesn't want to just stop and stand. So we're going to keep working on. Yep. You can put it in there, in the big one there. Yeah, that's it. You can drop some in there and I'll take it. Oh, that's the good stuff. Oh yeah.
You have his attention now.
Yep. He can. They know.
Your favorite.
Yeah.
Food.
Hold on to him for just a sec while I put this on my. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, come here, come here. So I'm going to start using that as a way to get his attention on me when he's doing well. Again, if he's being really bad, I'm not going to just give him food. Good. And we'll. Good. Here you go. Right here.
So what's important here is that I start feeding food. I give him a loose enough rein that he can move. In hindsight, I probably should have given him a looser rein. And notice he's chewing. It means he's not so stressed that he won't eat, which is good. And I keep feeding him food. I probably should have given him another handful already because he finished that first handful. But I was talking about how to safely feed food, which is using your thumb to hold the treat. But anyway, I think I'm mostly using grain or treats. I can't remember. Anyway, giving it to him, and maybe it's treats with the way he's chewing. And basically, this horse went from being distracted and nervous and not standing still to being willing to stand still. Even when I didn't give him food, he stopped whinnying nearly as much, and he started listening to the rider. Now, some people will be like, oh, I don't want to feed food. Okay, you don't have to feed. That's all right. But I want to show you how much of an amazing motivator it is. And yes, you should do some of this training at home. And yes, you don't want your horse to become a mugger. And I have free videos on that too. So, no excuses. Anyway, I continue feeding. Let's see, we move. You can see I feed for quite a while. This first time, I really just wanted him to relax and come down. Interesting thing, I was listening to a book about trust in people, and it said that for adrenaline to get out of the system, initially it's talking about people and arguments and tensions and fights, but it said that it takes at least 20 minutes. And so if you have a horse that's nervous, This also is true in dogs. Nervous about something and you get them relaxed, you have to remember that it still takes probably 20, 30 minutes or longer for them to fully, completely get that out of their system, so that if something else happens, they're going to be more likely to be triggered or more quickly to be triggered. There's a really good article about that with dogs. Now notice I walked a few steps and we stopped again and I started feeding, and I wanted him to realize that he could just stop and stand, and he has a very different demeanor than if we were to go back and look. But it's super important to realize some of these things that our horses are doing and to catch them before. Again, as the rider, a lot of it is on you to keep your horse calm, to keep them relaxed. Let me go over the list again of do's and don'ts. So do, when your horse gets nervous about something, do breathe. Do talk, sing, laugh, cough. Do get off if the situation requires it, and put yourself between the scary thing and your horse. Redirect. Find something that might be interesting. Put distance between you and between your horse and the scary thing, whether you're on the ground or riding. Do something easy, something that the horse likes, such as touching the target, or a trick that the horse loves. Offer food, whether it's a bite of grass or some food out of your hand. Allow the horse to move in a controlled manner rather than forcing them to stand still. This could mean moving away from the scary thing. And then also do head down, which you should have done the work at home first to make this a good thing. The lady came and got a lesson from me while I was in Maryland. And she said her horse is great, but we wanted to work on head down because when he's with other horses, different horses, he tends to get very nervous and high-headed and fast, and she has to hold him back. And so what we did is we worked on teaching him to slow down and drop his head. And the lesson was only like 30 minutes long, 40 minutes long. And she learned that she could release the reins and the horse, instead of speeding up, would slow down. And she went on a trail ride, and by doing the releases, both of the horses that were normally more energetic were much calmer. So the head down is not only head down, it is also releasing the reins. Those are things to do. What not to do. Do not hold the lead rope near the horse. Like at the snap or the knot, do not hold them tight, give them more slack. Do not jerk on the horse, either with the rope or with the reins, and definitely don't hit them. The only exceptions, right, of course, if they're kicking or biting you. Hold constant pressure on the reins. Do not hold constant pressure on the reins without ever giving a release. This makes the horse feel claustrophobic. And do not circle a bunch of times to try to get the horse calm. With gaited horses, this doesn't work. It does work with quarter horses sometimes, but rarely with gaited horses. Okay, there we go. I think that's about all the things I want to cover. I will be doing some more practical work with 2 of my horses and videoing that. And so as I get things to video and show you guys, I will share those with you and do that. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, let me know and I will address those in a future video. Feel free to check out the links in the description. Those are really, really good articles that I highly recommend everyone read at least once. I'm reading through them going, wow, I probably should read these every month just to refresh my memory and know the terms and understand what the horse is thinking compared to what we think we're doing. We may be thinking that the horse is getting this out of it, but what is the horse actually getting out of it? And the only other thing I want to say is if this video has helped you, please share, because that helps me so much and helps spread the word so people not only have a better horse, but just safer and have better rides. So thank you guys so much for being here and watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. You got this.